While I was painting the baby's room after my night shift, my wife came home with her ex's dog, looked at the blue walls and snorted, "Seriously? You still think this is your kid?" Then turned to her sister, "Watch him cry later when he finds out." I just kept painting like I didn't hear. 3 years later, they were the ones begging me to come back. I was painting the nursery at 6 a.m. after a 12-hour night shift at the warehouse. Still in my steel-toed boots, sore in every joint, but trying to push through. I hadn't slept, hadn't eaten, didn't even change out of my uniform. I was just focused on getting the second coat done in Ocean Breeze, because it was her favorite shade. Said it reminded her of our honeymoon in Destin. When I heard the front door open and her heels clicking across the tile, I thought, maybe she brought breakfast. I smiled to myself, turned to greet her. That smile died before it reached my lips. She wasn't alone. Amanda strolled in like she owned the place, her long blonde sister in tow, both of them giggling like teenagers. Between them was a pit bull I immediately recognized, her ex's. Bruno, that stupid dog with a lopsided face and a habit of growling whenever I got close. "Seriously? You brought his dog in here?" I asked, stepping off the ladder. My wife, Kara, didn't even blink. She glanced around the nursery, then let out a short, sharp laugh. "God, you're still painting this? After all this time? You really think this is your kid?" My whole body tensed. Amanda smirked behind her. Bruno growled softly, as if on cue. Kira tossed her bag on the floor and turned to her sister. "Watch this. He's gonna act like he didn't hear me, then later, he'll cry in the bathroom like he always does." I didn't say a word. I dipped my brush back in the tray and kept painting the corner of the wall, handshaking just enough to make the edge uneven. I didn't bother fixing it. Amanda leaned in the doorway, sipping a Red Bull like she was watching TV. "You haven't told him yet? You're dragging it out, girl. Savage." Kira yawned. "Let him finish the room first. He's almost done, right? Might as well get something out of it." They laughed again. That kind of cruel laugh that makes your chest feel like it's full of broken glass. I didn't flinch. Didn't scream. Didn't even look at them. I finished the corner. Washed the brush in silence. Cleaned up the edges with a damp rag like I was prepping for a real inspection. Then I folded the drop cloth, stood up, and walked past both of them. "Going to bed," I said, voice flat. "Don't snore," Kara replied. "Baby's trying to grow in peace." I nodded and shut the bedroom door. Inside, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just laid there, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding like a war drum. I wasn't even thinking clearly, but one sentence from her kept echoing in my head. "You really think this is your kid?" That was when something inside me didn't snap. It shifted. Subtle. Permanent. I realized two things that morning. 1, I was being played. 2, she thought I was too soft to fight back. She had no idea what kind of war she just started. The next day, I woke up around noon. Kira wasn't there. Neither was the dog, thank God. But her perfume still lingered in the sheets, cloying and artificial. Something about that morning made the whole room feel wrong. Like I didn't belong in my own bed anymore. I sat up slowly, every muscle sore from the shift and the painting. I stared at the blue walls through the open door of the nursery across the hall. Ocean Breeze. The color made me sick now. On the nightstand was the ultrasound photo I'd framed a week ago. The one where Kira had cried and said, "He has your nose." I picked it up. Studied it. Then flipped it over. On the back, I had written the date and the name we agreed on, Micah. I laughed. Quiet and bitter. That evening, I made her dinner. Her favorite lemon garlic salmon, roasted asparagus, and that overpriced chocolate mousse from the market downtown. I wore a clean button-up and lit a candle. She came home an hour late. "Wow," she said, not even putting down her phone. "What's the occasion?" "Just thought we could eat together. Like old times." She raised an eyebrow. "Are you dying?" I smiled. "No. Just in love." That made her pause for half a second. Then she laughed and kissed my cheek. It was a dry, dismissive peck. Her lips didn't even touch skin. Halfway through dinner, I asked her what we'd name the baby if it turned out to be a girl instead. "Why are you asking?" she said, chewing. "Scared of commitment now?" "No," I said. "Just curious. We never talked about girl names." She shrugged. "You pick. It's your fantasy, after all." That's when I knew she wasn't just cruel, she was confident. Overconfident. That was her mistake. The next day, I took a half day from work. Told my supervisor I was dealing with some personal stuff, and he nodded with the tired understanding of a man who's been divorced twice. I drove straight to a paternity lab. No appointment. Just walked in and asked how soon I could do a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. Do you have the mother's consent? The receptionist asked. I smiled. Oh, I'll get it. Just give me the paperwork. That night, I told Kira I was reading about fetal health and came across a test that checks for genetic markers early on. You know, I said, to make sure there's no risk of anything serious. She rolled her eyes. Seriously? You're being weird. I just care, I said softly. Would make me sleep better. She signed the release form, annoyed. Didn't even read it. I tucked it away and booked the test the next morning. It would take 2 weeks to get results. 2 weeks of pretending. 2 weeks of smiling and acting like the man she thought I was. I started keeping a journal. Writing down every cruel comment. Every suspicious text I glimpsed over her shoulder. Every night she came home later than she claimed. And every time I looked into her eyes and said I love you, I made sure to remember exactly how empty it felt. A week later, her sister Amanda stopped by unannounced. I was in the garage, fixing the latch on the shed door. She leaned against the frame like some soap opera villain. You really don't know, huh? She asked. Know what? That she's been talking to Alex again. Alex. The ex. The dog's original owner. Maybe they're just friends, I said, playing dumb. Amanda snorted. Sure. That's why she's been saving photos of engagement rings and searching apartments near his office downtown. I didn't say anything. Amanda smirked. You're kind of sad, honestly. You ever think about leaving first? Might make you look less pathetic. That stuck with me longer than I care to admit. But I wasn't going to leave. Not yet. By the time the envelope arrived from the lab, I had already cleared a drawer in the guest room. Moved my important papers there. Bought a burner phone. Changed my passwords. I sat on the back porch, watching dusk fall, and opened the letter slowly, like I was unwrapping a bomb. Probability of paternity, 0%. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just exhaled like I'd been holding my breath for weeks. Then I stood up, poured myself a drink, and made a list. At the top. Step 1, let her finish the game. Then flip the board. For the next few days, I played the perfect husband. Made breakfast. Rubbed her feet at night. Listened to her complain about clients, cravings, her sister's attitude. I nodded, smiled, took mental notes like a lawyer preparing for trial. She never noticed the difference. That's how much she underestimated me. One night, after she came home late again reeking of Axe body spray that wasn't mine, I asked casually, you still want to do a baby shower? She blinked, surprised. Yeah, I guess. Why? I was thinking we invite everyone. Make it big. You deserve that. She softened. Touched my hand. That's sweet. Sweet. I almost laughed. That night, she fell asleep early. I lay beside her in the dark, eyes open, heartbeat steady. I had already changed the login credentials on our joint accounts. Rerouted my paycheck. Started moving valuables to a storage unit under my brother's name. I wasn't leaving yet. But I was erasing my footprints from the house I once thought was my home. Amanda came over again a few days later. Wore sunglasses indoors. Smelled like tequila and regret. I assume you know by now, she said. I handed her the lab results. I know. She nodded. So, what's next? I sipped my coffee. I want her to feel safe. Secure. Like she's one. Amanda raised an eyebrow. Why? I smiled. Because people only show their true selves when they think no one's watching. She stared at me for a moment, then gave a low whistle. Damn. You're colder than I thought. I nodded. Only now. The baby shower was set for the following Saturday. Decorations ordered. Invitations sent. Kira glowed like a queen, walking around the house pointing out where she wanted everything. I want balloons here, she said. And that corner for gifts. I nodded. Anything you want. She smiled and kissed me. That night, she texted someone under the name Mila in her phone. I screenshotted it. Logged the time. I was almost ready. Just one more piece to put in place. The day before the baby shower, Kira was in a frenzy. She ordered me around the house like a wedding planner on steroids. Move the table there. Iron the curtain. Do something about your hair. Do you want people thinking you're some broke maintenance guy I met on Craigslist? I just smiled and asked if she wanted lemonade or water. She chose neither. Just waved me off with a flick of her wrist and went back to fluffing throw pillows and shouting into her Bluetooth headset. From the way she barked at the caterer, you'd think she was prepping for a royal coronation. I really watched her. Her face lit up when she got her way, but dimmed the second no one was watching. That fake glow she wore like armor faded in the quiet moments. For someone who was winning, she sure didn't look like it. Amanda stopped by with 3 bags of party decorations and a suspiciously oversized purse. You good? She whispered to me when Kara went upstairs. I'm perfect, I said, handing her a small manila folder. Inside were printouts. Bank statements. Text logs. Screenshots. A timeline. Everything I'd compiled. Amanda flipped through it in stunned silence. Jesus, she muttered. You've been building this. Brick by brick. You're gonna nuke her. No, I said. I'm going to let her light the match. The next day was sunshine and lies. Our house looked like Pinterest exploded. Soft blues, silver balloons, little napkins with baby Micah printed in loopy gold font. Kara was beaming. Laughing with her friends. Letting strangers rub her belly like she was some sort of fertility totem. I stood beside her, hand on her back, playing the doting husband like I was born for it. At one point, Amanda passed me with a tray of cupcakes and whispered, she has no idea. I smiled. Not yet. Halfway through the party, Kara made a toast. Raised her glass and thanked everyone for being part of this magical chapter in her life. She even got a little misty-eyed. I couldn't ask for a better partner, she said, resting her hand on my shoulder. He's loyal. Supportive. Just, always there. Applause. A few ahs. She turned to me and kissed my cheek. I held her gaze for just a second too long. She blinked. Something passed between us. A flicker of unease? But then she smiled again, too brightly, and everyone clapped as if we were the perfect couple. That night, after the house was empty and the streamers were in the trash, Kara curled up beside me in bed. Her voice soft. You were amazing today. Thank you. I turned off the lamp. Of course. She kissed my shoulder. You okay? Yeah, I said. Just tired. She fell asleep within minutes. I waited 2 hours, then slipped out of bed. I opened the safe in the guest room, one she didn't know about, and added the USB drive Amanda had given me that afternoon. It had a screen recording of a private conversation Kara had weeks ago. One Amanda had accidentally overheard and recorded. Kara was on speaker with someone named Alex. Once the baby's born and the house transfers, I'm ghosting him. He can visit the kid if he wants. I just want the deed and some breathing room. I watched that video twice. Then I copied it onto 2 backup drives. Just in case. 3 days after the baby shower, Kara came home humming. It was one of those smug, satisfied hums, the sound someone makes when they think the world is quietly working in their favor. She dropped her purse by the door, kicked off her heels, and padded barefoot into the kitchen, scrolling through her phone. Babe, she called, I scheduled the final appointment with the real estate attorney. He said everything's ready for the house transfer. I was washing dishes. The same one she left in the sink that morning after her green smoothie detox exploded in the blender. I turned off the water. Dried my hands slowly. Oh? I said, keeping my voice neutral. Yeah. She came up behind me, wrapped her arms around my waist. Since you wanted the house in my name, because of the baby and all. Right. Because of the baby. I'd suggested the transfer a month ago, strategically, in front of Amanda, knowing Kara would jump at the chance. Let her believe she was being handed power. Let her think I was soft enough to do something that reckless. You trust me, don't you? She'd asked. I'd smiled. With everything. That answer made her lean in for a kiss. She never knew I'd already filed a quitclaim reversal with the original notary. Never knew that Amanda, who once worked at a title office, had walked me through the process. Kara never saw the second version of the paperwork I'd drawn up, a version that removed her name before it ever legally attached. She had no clue the house had never left my hands. She was playing Monopoly. I was playing chess. 2 days later, she didn't come home. No text. No call. Not even a fake working late excuse. By midnight, I was lying in our bed alone, staring at the ceiling, listening to the distant bark of Bruno, his dog, somewhere in the neighborhood. I didn't need to guess where she was. The next morning, she strolled in at 9 a.m., holding a coffee cup from his favorite place downtown. Rough night? I asked casually. Don't start, she said, brushing past me. Worried, I said, following her. You didn't answer your phone. I was with Amanda, she lied without flinching. I nodded. Cool. I'll ask her about it later. That made her pause. Just slightly. Then she rolled her eyes and disappeared upstairs. She didn't know Amanda and I had been texting all night. That evening, I left a folder on the kitchen table. Inside was the lab result, the bank statements, and a single photograph Amanda had snapped weeks ago, Kara sitting across from Alex, her hand on his knee, his hand on her belly. The caption I wrote under it in red marker? You're not as subtle as you think. I was in the garage when I heard the scream. Then, silence. When I walked back in, she was standing in the living room holding the folder, face pale, hands shaking. You went through my stuff? No, I said. I watched you bury yourself. I just kept the receipts. You planned this, she whispered, voice hoarse. I stepped closer. Looked her dead in the eyes. I watched you plan to take everything from me. She opened her mouth to protest, but I held up a flash drive. This has everything. Audio, video, text logs. You can either leave quietly today or I file for full custody and take it public. Her jaw clenched. You won't do that. I smiled, cold. You don't know me as well as you think. She didn't cry. Not at first. She stood there, folder trembling in her hands, blinking fast like her brain was buffering and the screen kept freezing. You could see the circuits shorting behind her eyes. Rage, panic, embarrassment cycling through her system like poison. You had no right, she hissed. I leaned on the doorframe, calm as ice. I had every right. You made our home a stage. I just watched the performance. Kara dropped the folder on the couch like it was radioactive. This is revenge, isn't it? No, I said, slowly. This is closure. She moved to speak again, maybe to twist it, flip the script, but then her phone buzzed. Once. Twice. I nodded toward it. That Alex? She flinched. Her phone buzzed again. Then a third time. She didn't look. Just clenched it tighter. You know, I said, walking past her, I actually did believe Micah was mine. I even liked the name. She turned to me, furious now. I never said you weren't important. You were just convenient. And you were a storm I watched pass, I said, reaching for the front door. Pack. You've got 2 hours. You can't kick me out, she snapped. I own the house, I replied without missing a beat. Amanda already witnessed the reversal. You never legally touched the deed. But you can take the guest towels. She opened her mouth to argue, but didn't. Just stood there, shrinking. An hour later, she tried one last card. You'd really leave a pregnant woman with nowhere to go? I raised an eyebrow. Pregnant by another man. She stared at me, jaw tight, but I saw it, the smallest fracture in her face. She wasn't mad anymore. Not really. She was exposed. Naked, not in body, but in failure. And beneath that? She was scared. Not because she loved me. Because she lost me. You played a long game, she said. No, I replied. I played fair. You cheated early. I just waited for the buzzer. When she left that night, her suitcase was dragging like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She didn't look back. Not once. I stood in the doorway with the porch light casting shadows across my feet. And just before she reached her car, I called out. Oh, by the way. She turned. I mailed a copy of the folder to Alex. Certified. She didn't respond. Just froze. Her face crumbled in slow motion like a sculpture meeting a sledgehammer. She got in the car. She drove off. I closed the door. Locked it. And exhaled. That night, I slept like the dead. No dreams. No tossing. Just peace. The kind that's earned after years of slow humiliation and silent endurance. I woke up to a quiet house and sunlight streaming through the nursery window. Ocean breeze. It didn't feel sickening anymore. It felt like a clean slate. It started a week later. The first missed call came at 6:42 a.m. Unknown number. Then another. Then 4 more, one after the other. By noon, my phone showed 13 missed calls, 2 voicemails, and 1 blocked text that only previewed, "Please, just call me. Please." I didn't answer. I knew the rhythm now. They always call when they realize the ground under them wasn't solid after all. Amanda called me that afternoon. She's losing it, she said. Alex dumped her. Told her he's not raising a kid he didn't want, and get this, he's denying it's even his. She get a new test? Not yet. Too late anyway. Her lease fell through. He pulled the deposit. I didn't say anything. Amanda sighed. I know you're done. I just thought you'd want to know you won. I didn't win, I said, staring out at the calm, quiet street from the front porch. She just lost the game she rigged. The next day, a letter arrived. Handwritten. From Kira. It wasn't long. 2 pages, maybe. I didn't open it right away. Just stared at it on the table like it might explode. When I finally did, the first line was shaky. I thought I could fake my way through this and still be loved. It went on about mistakes. About fear. About not knowing how to stop once she started. She said she missed me not for money or comfort, but because I was the only man who never tried to own her, only love her. Funny. I'd once begged her to see me. Now she was writing in cursive just to be heard. She ended it with a question. If you ever remember who we were before everything went wrong, could we just talk? I folded the letter neatly. Slid it back into the envelope. And dropped it into the fire pit. 2 weeks after that, Amanda texted me a photo, Kira, standing outside a courthouse with a single duffel bag and hollow eyes. No car. No friends around. Probation, Amanda wrote. Bank fraud. She tried to open a line of credit using your info. Got caught. Sloppy. I didn't reply. What was there to say? Let the silence talk. It's been 5 months. The nursery still has ocean breeze on the walls. But it's no longer Micah's room. It's mine now. My workshop. My sanctuary. Sometimes I sit in there, sip coffee, and watch the sun fall through the window the way it did that morning she mocked me. The morning she laughed about some men being born losers. I wear the same boots now when I walk in there. Same kind of morning light. Same kind of silence. But the man who paints those walls now? He doesn't cry in bathrooms anymore. He doesn't beg to be loved. He doesn't get mocked in his own house. Last week, a voicemail came in at 2:17 a.m. Her voice was thin. Worn down to something human. I had a dream about you. You were laughing. And I was, outside the window, trying to come in. I listened to it once. Then I deleted it. No reply. No closure. She already said it herself. Some men are born losers. But not this one. He just waited long enough to win quietly.